My name is Michelle Jones. I am the media chair for Seminole County Council PTA, and I'm so excited to be with you guys this evening to share with you a little bit of knowledge and expertise regarding the Google Forms and how you can use Google Forms for surveys or fill-in forms or any sort of purpose that you would need to get some sort of feedback or input from someone. And you can actually use the form as a link. So you can put it on a Facebook page, send it in an email, put it in Member Hub. So it's a pretty flexible tool for a lot of different uses. Even if you just need to get a count of something, you could do that. I've used it even for some registrations or logins when I've been, needing something on the fly where it's collecting the data for me to be able to use and analyze in the future. It's super easy to access, to use, and to share results with others. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so I am logged into Google in my media SCC PTA box. And if you just go to this little icon, looks like little dots, the Google Apps icon. And under there, you have to kind of scroll down a little bit, but you will find the Google Forms. And this is where you go to launch a Google form. When you go to launch or create a form from scratch, for instance, you'll see it has some different templates of things that you can use, or you can build your own. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to do a build your own, but if you are needing to do any one of these things, it already has, some templates built in for you. Also, if you Google, different types of templates, you can actually download other types of templates as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start a new form. Clicking the plus sign to get a blank form. It is super intuitive. As you can see, it's trying to help you from the get-go. I'm going to say, okay, got it. I'm just going to kind of exit out of that since that's what I'm here to do with you. It's very, like I said, super intuitive. You can just title your form. So we're going to call this registration. Oh, I can spell right. There we go. All right, so see, you can just type the title for the form that you want. You can put a little description if you would like to. You can do that as well. And then it really is super simple, kind of click, drag, and drop options. You can pick the different types of questions you want to add and then the type of response that you want to get for it. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this option that we already have up here since I already have one there. And I'm just going to type, I'm literally just going to put question 1. Or how about this? We'll put full name. How about that? There we go. All right, so maybe we're going to ask the person to give us a full name. And you see how because I used the word name in there, it automatically changed it from a bubble answer to a short answer. It is super intuitive. It knew because I put the word name in there, it switched the type of response that was going to be put in there. You can change it manually, but that's one thing I love about Google Forms is that it kind of tries to help you out. So you don't have to be a IT expert to create a form. So go ahead and put full name and then, and that's all we need to do there. If you want this question to be required on the form, and we do want to know the person's name, then you could put required. And now when this form is launched, it's going to make the user have to put information in that field. They won't be able to go on any further unless they give us their full name. But maybe we don't need to know their email address. We're just asking for our own purposes. We can add another question or another field that basically asks for their email address, but we will make that one not required. So here we go. So we're going to go ahead and put email address. And again, you see how it switched the type for us. If we wanted to pick a different type, you can simply check the little drop down, and you see how easy it is to switch to a different type, okay? But we're going to go ahead and leave it a short answer. And then there we go. We have our email address there. And we're going to leave this one as not required. So see how it's not grayed in. Also, you'll notice that the required ones have a little asterisk, a little star, a little red star by them. Okay. You can make your form funky if you want to by adding like templates and layouts. So we have some themes here. We'll go ahead and maybe we want to change. We're going to go with like a light blue since we live in Florida. It reminds me of the ocean, so that's what we'll do. If you want to make your form fancy, you can change the font style. So maybe we want to go with a kid font. And then you can also include an image. So we could select an image, and I'm going to go with, we were talking about the water, so we're going to go with something with water in it. If you don't want to use something that they already have, you can upload your own image as well. So if you have your PTA's logo or certain color scheme, you can pick that color scheme and logo and put that in there as well. All right. I just picked one that they had that was a template in here. Okay. There we go. All right. Oh, well, actually, that's a spider. That's not water. Ah, I don't want that. Let's pick a different one. Let's see here. Travel. There's got to be something with water in travel. There we go. Something with water. All right. It's like a babbling brook. There we go. Oh, and actually, you see it changed my color scheme because I picked that theme. So we'll leave it at that. But let's go ahead and keep on adding a couple of other questions in here so we can see some different types of questions here in the form. All right, so we've got full name. We're going to do an email address. Let's do a one with the radio buttons, but with a multiple choice. So we're going to ask the person, what type of water do you enjoy? And we'll say the ocean. We'll do the pool. And you can see how just by clicking, it adds the extra option. So see, every time I click the option, it adds a new line for another option. The ocean, pool, lake, and we'll do the add other. So that way it'll put other on there and let them put something as well. So there we go. So we've got our multiple choice answer here, and we'll make that one required. All right. All right. You can embed videos into forms as well. That's what this link does right here. You can add a video. So maybe you want the person to, maybe it's one of those surveys where you want the person to watch a video and then give their opinion of whatever's on the video, or watch the video and affirm that they watched it by typing their initials. Then you can use that add a video link. As long as you have the MP4 formatted video, then you can upload and add that link on there as well. All right. If you want to section out your form, that way maybe someone needs to only fill the top section, maybe the middle section is filled out by the student, or something like that, you can actually add sections. So we'll go ahead and do that. So there you go. So you see now we have a section 1 up here with the tab, and then we have section 2. All right. So maybe we'll say all right, and we can add some additional questions down here. So we will go ahead and let's see here. Let me add, there we go. There we go. I can see today. All right. So we'll do some with checkboxes so that you can see that. And again, it's just like the radio buttons above. You would just put our question on here. The good thing about checkboxes, though, is that if you need to have someone respond with more than one thing, that's where the checkbox really comes in handy. So maybe you want someone to say, you know, what kind of materials do you need? Maybe they need crayons and markers, or just crayons, or crayons, markers, and pens. Then that's when you would use the checkbox option as well. Am I going too fast for you, Kimberly, or are you good? You can do a thumbs up if you don't want to talk.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Do you have any questions about forms? Have you ever used Google Forms before?
A little, yes.
A little? Okay. All right. Did you have any particular problems that you ran into with doing it, or was it, it's pretty intuitive, you know what I mean? Like
It is.
Yeah, it's definitely very easygoing on
I never got as far as to actually utilize the information now. The couple of times that I used it, I didn't get a lot of responses.
Oh,
So
no.
I don't really know how to work with the responses once you get them. Like, I'm not sure if it comes as a like a poll response.
So let's go ahead and do that then. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one out, and I'm going to give it to you as a link and let you respond to it, and then we'll play with the data. How's that?
Good.
All right, do that. Okay, so what type of writing instrument is your favorite? Here we go. All right, so option 1, we're going to say crayons. And we're going to add markers, pencils. All right, and then we'll give them the option for other. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, so then we will leave those things there and we're going to go ahead and send this out to you to be able to look at, because then we'll go over here to the responses area and we'll play with that, all right? So just like that, form is done there. All right, so we're all gonna go ahead and going to send it to you. And I'm actually just gonna make it as a link and I'm gonna put it in the chat of our meeting. That way you don't have to like wait on an email or anything like that. All right.
We're totally ready.
I'm gonna see if it'll give me a short. There we go. All right, so what I did was, you see how like this would have all these, you know, initials and all this stuff. If we just do the shortened one, it just makes it easier for the folks to be able to, for you to be able to put it on publishing documents and send it out by email and stuff like that if you don't have all those extra characters and everything like that. So we're gonna go ahead.
Okay.
You can also publish it to Facebook and to the Twitter accounts directly from here as well. That's what those little icons are for right there. This one right here is called an embedded link. So if you want to actually embed it into a site that you have or a SharePoint document or, you know, something like that, you can use this and it'll just be a little strip of code. You literally just copy everything in there, and usually on your site or on your Facebook page, it'll tell you to copy and paste the code, the embedded code here. You just paste it there and it will be like magic. The document will just appear right there. And then when it gets submitted, those responses will get collected along with your emailed responses as well as the link responses as well. So everything will all be collected in the same spot, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, there we go. Our chat. There we go. There's our chat window. Okay, so if you're not familiar, did the chat pop up for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. I didn't know if I would need to give you instructions on how to pull the chat up.
No.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it out too. So when you get to your form, it's going to ask you to sign in with your Google sign in. And I'm going to pull it up over here on a new tab so that this is what the form actually looks like when you go there. Now. All right, and I am all about a pool because and then let's go to our next section. And I like crayons and markers. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. All right, and just that easy to go ahead and submit your responses with the Google form. All right, let's see how many responses we have so far. Oh, look, you guys are faster than I am. All right. Oh, I love it. Okay. You guys were on the same wavelength, huh? Or did you do two? All right. So as you can see, when we click over from questions to responses, this is where we'll be able to see a summary of the responses received, as well as some great analytics that you can use. You can copy these analytics, the charts and things like that, to be presented at board meetings or other things. It's so intuitive, easygoing, and user-friendly to be able to do. All right. Do you have questions about this at all? If you wanted to see the responses by question, you can do that as well. And so this actually shows the full name. So see how it's like showing each thing broken down by question. So it's showing you all the responses broken down by question. All right. And then if you want to read the responses by individual, this would be as if you wanted to read the responses as if you were looking at the form. So looking at one person's form and then the next person's form and then the next person's form. So it gives it the slices and dices the data in a couple different ways for you to be able to use as you need for whatever types of purposes that you might need it.
Okay.
All right. You can print them. You can obviously edit them if you needed to, or not edit them, but delete them if you needed to delete specific responses. Although, you know, I can't think of too many reasons unless you didn't want to have duplicates and maybe you only want to have one response per person that you know, want to do that. But you do have the control as the form owner to be able to do that if you needed to. All right. Do you guys want to go through another example, or I mean, that's really about it. I mean, they're really super easy going and quick to fill out. I found them useful when I used to be in membership. I would use Google Forms all the time for various needs when I was a membership chair. I found them very useful to be able to slice and dice data and, you know, and collect things. I would actually set them up and do computer-based sort of registration stuff. We use Member Hub now for it. This is pre-Member Hub. I'm kind of dating myself a little bit, but it was pre-Member Hub time frame. I used it a lot more, but yeah.
Maybe, Michelle, if you want to kind of go into the types of questions that they can ask when they're filling it out, other than the short answer.
Sure, yeah. So you can also do questions like if you wanted to do a prompt and you were looking to get like feedback, like written like a response, like a prompt and response, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go back over here. The other thing I like is that you can edit your forms even after you've submitted. If you wanted to add. Now, obviously, you know, your forms you got before you edit it won't have the additional questions that you add, but we'll keep going with the form we already have going here. And we'll go ahead and add another question down here. Instead of doing the multiple choice, we'll do the paragraph one. So again, this is the one where, you know, if we want to put something where we think someone's going to write a long response, will be really good when we need to do feedback surveys or something like that, where, you know, you want, what would opinion be? And saw a badger in the water with you. All right, and then they could go ahead and respond as they would like to. I would have a whole lot of yelling in my response, but but yeah, this allows you to be able to have that long answer response. And then let's see here, any other ones that I didn't show? Okay. We did the multiple question check boxes. Oh, we didn't do a drop down. Similar to multiple choice, a drop down just allows you to be able to add options that are a click down. So,
Okay.
Should you begin? White water. And then you could put groups. So maybe it was 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 39, 40, etc. All right. I probably didn't do that well because I probably should end this at 21 to 29 or whatever, but just doing it for the purpose, and we'll maybe do one that says 41. And because that's so old. I'm facetious. I'm in that bracket. So like, all right. Okay. Just being self-deprecating, I guess. Okay. Moving on. You said this was being recorded, right, Rachel? You'll have that on tape then, I guess. All right. So that is the drop-down area there. All right. So that's drop-down menu. And a title and description. This is just if you want to add like a heading in between. So maybe you wanted to transition from talking about water to talking about, you know, parks, national parks, or something else, then you could go ahead and transition, put, you know, just a header in between if you wanted to. And then you could continue on. So a header versus doing a whole section. So remember when we actually did the survey, the section took you kind of like to a new page and you kept going on with your questions and all that stuff. A header just is going to be like a break in text where you could just say, you know, section 1, section 2, that kind of thing. And I think that's really about it on, let's see, did I miss anything? Nope, sections, we went over that. Images, um, importing questions. That's like, say someone else has a really cool Google form that you really like. You can export your Google form and then import the questions if you wanted to. So, so that's what the best use. I never used it when I was doing Google Forms. I always just write mine, from scratch. Or I had a form that I wanted to make electronic, and so I would just copy from that form and make it into an electronic form just to make it easier for people to take it. I think that's really about it on these questions. Linear scales and multiple choice grids. These are like where you can pick, you would label things and then like say you wanted someone to do on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the best experience and 5 being the worst experience, rate your, whatever type of experience. So that's what a linear scale questions would do. Multiple choice grid. This allows you to be able to give options across multiple options across like in a grid format or on a chart. It's like a little chart. So if you wanted someone to fill in on Mondays between 7 and 5, Tuesdays is 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6 good. That's where this would come in handy. So if you wanted to ask someone to set up like a maybe you're doing a fundraising schedule, and or better yet, in PTA world, if we're doing book fair schedule, you know what I mean? Then this is where you could use that chart function to say what parents are coming in here, and actually it would be really great because then the output on the back end of it would be super useful. You know what I mean? As you're trying to plan for your volunteers calendar, your volunteer schedule, and trying to recruit people for certain time periods and stuff like that. So that's what a grid, or why a grid would be useful or helpful in a form. All right, so that is the multiple choice grid. So, and then a checkbox grid, same thing. This would, again, same principle. This would be good if you wanted to give people more than one option to be able to volunteer or to sign up to volunteer, because they're going to be coming in droves to want to volunteer at the book fair all day. So, so yes.
Can you do an example of that real quick just to see what it looks like? I haven't seen anyone do that before.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, here, I'll show you. All right. So we'll actually use that example.
Oh, thank you.
Volunteer sign up. All right. So if we're going to do that, then what we would do is we would say Monday, let's say setup. We'll call that 7A. 2, we'll say that's a 3-hour shift, 7, 8, 9. So say 7 to 10 a.m. And then we'll say the Monday midday shift. We'll just call it mid. And we'll say we'll do a little bit of overlap. We'll have that person come at 9 a.m. That way you have a little bit of help overlap, and then the person will stay until, let's say, 12 p.m. All right. And of course, you'd be way more coordinated than I would with this. And then again, like I said, you would just keep going. So we'll do Monday, mid, and we'll do afternoon. And that person will come from 11 to 2. And then of course you'll have your closer person. And then that person would be there from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. All right. All righty. And then, I'll leave those right there, but you could, you would just go from day to day to day on that one. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, got our Monday, we got our one. Okay, then we're going to say however many slots they want. We're going to say that we have our, actually, you know what? I did this wrong. Sorry, guys. You would do your these things right here. Did it wrong. Sorry, gang. Your columns should have your time frames. Your rows should have your days. This will make a whole lot of sense when I actually show it to you. So sorry about that. Didn't mean to confuse you. There we go. And all I'm doing is just copy and pasting those. All right, so then now we're good. Now we're just going to do Monday and then Tuesday. And then Friday. All righty, there we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and come over here and oops. Come over here. That's really what I meant. Submit another response. And then just because it's going to ask me for that. There we go. Voila. So there's your beautiful book fair chart. Doesn't look pretty. You've got your days of the week here and then the times the person might come. So if a person wanted to sign up for Monday at 7 a.m. And maybe they could do Tuesday and Wednesday, the middle of the day. And maybe on Friday, they could come in the morning and the afternoon because they are an A+ overachiever and super available and excited about book fair. It's their thing. And then maybe on Thursday, there we go. We've got our morning. I'm a morning person, so I sign up for a lot of morning shifts. All right. Does that make sense? What the column? Okay. All right. I see heads nodding. That means okay, we're good. All right. Now the difference between using the column grid and using the column with the check boxes is check boxes will allow you to have multiple entries. Whereas if you use the grid, they'll only be able to pick one, you know, of the radio buttons for the regular grid versus the column view of the check with the check boxes. All right. Yay. Google Funds are formed. Google Funds are formed. Google Forms are fun. At least if you're kind of a nerdy analytical person like me. Nerds are super cool like me. And I love playing with the data and setting stuff up and working in the forms to get the responses that you need. Just don't be afraid to play with them, change the colors, pick the different kinds of questions until you find the right one that works for you. The biggest thing is just not to be afraid of it. There's nothing to be afraid of. So easy to edit. Let's say that maybe I didn't need this chart, and even though it's pretty and now we've done all this entering in it, it's so easy to add and remove items. So let's say, okay, we'll keep the chart because it's cool. I have to admit, I love the chart. So we're going to go and we'll move this little description. So see the little 4 dots here? This allows you to be able to see you can move your items. This is what I mean by how user-friendly it is. You know, you can get rid of items. You can copy it. So maybe I love that chart, but I want to use it for something else. You can actually copy the charts. So that's where you see this right here. This is going to duplicate what we did. And now you don't have to do all that work all over again. So you could duplicate it and then just make the little tweaks that you need to make instead of reinventing the wheel. So maybe you wanted to sign up for book fair volunteers, and then maybe you wanted to sign up for Santa's helpers because your book fair is at the holiday time frame, and you're doing photos with Santa reindeer and all that stuff. Then you could have a separate sign up for those volunteers versus the book fair volunteers and include it all in the same form. So do you know a little bit more than you did when you started?
Yes.
Great. That's the idea, not to overwhelm. It can definitely be overwhelming. I talk really fast and I get really excited about technology topics. But hopefully you learned something and had a little fun along the way.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Awesome. I think the only other thing, I know you mentioned setting stuff up. Is there any settings of the form itself that we need to be aware of?
As far as yeah, when we started picking the themes, is that what you mean?
Well, that one right there is common. Restrict users, because we are using, if you went to the earlier classes, set up for your Google Workspace. That is something you'll want to uncheck if you're sending it to anyone who's, if you're sending out to families, you want to make sure that's off.
Yes, thank you. And the other thing is that there are other settings, like if you only want to allow people to only send one form in, then you can pick that. You can allow respondents to edit after they submit it. So maybe they made a mistake and you want people to be able to do that. I would be careful with that, just because if you want to hold on to the values that they give when they give it, then you won't want to check that. But yeah, so definitely some other things. So I'll uncheck some of these. We'll do this one so they can, this will allow the user, so this one here says see summary charts and text responses, that allow them to see like a little summary before they, after they hit submit, they can see what their responses were. So we'll do that. And then I'll do the email one, and send response receipt. They want one. There we go. All right. And then we'll come over here to presentation. This one is if you want there to be like a little bar saying how far along they've gone in the on the forms. If you want to shuffle your questions, like you don't want them to always be in the same order, then you can pick that. Show the link to submit another response. That's what you see over here on this response form. Once I hit submit on that one, that's what that is. That's submit another response. That is the controller for that right here. So if you don't want people to just do another one, and that would probably be a good thing to uncheck if you're going to only limit to one response. If you're going to limit to one response, then it doesn't make sense to have the show another response link on there. All right. Oh, and then if you want to make it a quiz, I think this is probably what those teachers do. What do you think? I'm just teasing. I have a feeling that's what they do. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. My kids love those, like Kahoots and the quizzes and stuff on here. I don't know. I've never seen my kids so excited to like participate in learning.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. All right, so we made those changes. I just hit save, so I'm going to go ahead and kick off another form so that you can just see those changes that we just made. And here we go again. Okay, I guess I should get more creative. All right, with my email address here. All right, so we're going to say oranges@yahoo.com. There we go. All right, so there's a little bit more creative answer. All right, still just going to use my name. All right, and you'll see, oops, R-A-N, I can spell. You'll see that this email up here is required. So now I don't need this one at all because it's already asking and it's making it required. Because remember, we checked the box in the settings that said email is required. So I'm going to skip this one here. And we're going to go ahead and pick Lake this time. All right. And we're going to say we like pencils, and other, we're going to say that we like Sharpies. Who doesn't love a Sharpie? All right. And we'll go ahead and you can see our volunteer signups there. And then you see right here, this is where they can send a copy of their response, because we set that setting in the setup settings. We changed that setting. So now that's going to do that. And then I'm going to actually pick a couple of these so that you can see them. There we go. And hit submit. Now you see the link is different. We turned off the link that allowed them to submit another response. But remember, we turned on that link that said, let me see a summary of our form. So now we'll be able to see a summary of what we submitted on our form. There you go. So there you go. Summary of not just what we submitted, but what everybody submitted. So you'll see a summary of all the responses. There you go. Again, really good for the volunteers, because if they want to see where there's gaps and maybe change their answer or fill in other places, they, you know, a little bit of eyes wide open awareness there. And there you go.